Get Into Geek. This is episode 109. We are talking the Sentinel, Stargate, SG-1. We're the full Get Into Geek team. My name is Mitch. Joining me, as always, for each and every episode, we got Matty, Brendan, and Rhys.
G'day.
For new listeners, Rhys, he's our first-time watcher of Stargate SG-1. The rest of us are long-time fans of the show. And we're talking one episode each and every week as we introduce Rhys to the show. We are nearing the end of Season 5. As I said, talking about the Sentinel, episode 20 of Season 5. We're going to go back to the DVD format, which most of us are still watching on. Even Rhys, we've converted him. He started off streaming. He's back to watching on the DVD as the rest of us own at home. We'll see what the synopsis says and throw it over to Rhys and see what he thought of the episode. O'Neill must enlist the aid of a couple of convicted felons in a bid to save a planet from the Goa'uld. With an attack looming and the planet's automated defense system seemingly offline, an entire world's salvation rests in the hands of SG-1 and two former NID operatives. Say it ain't so, Rhys. The Sentinel. What did you think about this one, buddy?
Well, I got a couple of questions. That old guy, I know we've seen him before. Where?
My first thought was The Burbs. Is it The Burbs? The Tom Hanks comedy where he's got the psychos living next door?
Yeah.
I can't ever see that guy from anything else. I've seen him in other stuff before. I'm like, nah, man, you're that psycho that lives next to Tom Hanks.
Radley guy.
Yeah.
But have we seen him in SG-1? Is he, or is this just a made-up world that the NID went to?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've never been here before. Yeah. Have you seen him at any family barbecues?
No.
No? Well, his name's Henry Gibson, so...
Right.
Yeah.
Saw him at your barbecue.
Yeah. I don't go to family barbecues. Yeah, this, it was...
Touchstone?
Yeah, it was a little... I don't know how I feel about this episode.
I do. It was shit! It was fucking shit! It was boring!
Yeah. Like, it was just like, instead of SG-1 going into a world... fucking shit up and then fixing it, then coming home, it's just like, oh, they've already fucked it up. They need to go back in.
Yeah, it's kind of like Double Jeopardy in a way. It was the robot team screwed up in Double Jeopardy, and then we had to fix it.
Yeah, and they did cheat the previously on as well. So that might have been what confused Rhys. Is in the previous film where they showed scenes from Touchstone, they actually inserted a shot of the two quote unquote felons like into the previously on when they've never been in Stargate before.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, the characters haven't been, the actors have been.
Because that's what I wondered. Did they really need to go to the jail and bring them with them? Like, because essentially it was Daniel Jackson that did everything anyway.
Right.
Yeah, which I found weird because obviously Carter is an Air Force officer, and that's her role, is to that military action first. She's covering the thing, and she sends Daniel in there. I would have thought she would have been chomping at the bit to get access to
Would
this.
You prefer Daniel out there with a P90?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Obviously, that's
Teal'c.
why. But not at all at one point did she even go, fuck, I just want to have a look at this thing.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been her motive.
Yeah. Like, they could have just completely written out those criminals, didn't need them, and then old mate, bloody Marul, he could have just said, oh, okay, well, this is where it is. You know what I mean? And then they wouldn't need to pay the other two actors, or didn't need to set up the whole storyline.
For me, like, I don't mind the premise of this episode. For me, is that this guy, whatever his name is, Greaves, he's stuffed up something so badly and so severely in his life, and he's willing to sacrifice himself to redeem himself.
Yeah.
That's the only bit that I actually like out of this.
Yeah, I guess.
Did he though? Like, when he died at the end, did anyone care? I sure as hell didn't.
I don't think he died. He just became one with the machine, right?
Well, he was.
Whether
vaporized.
I don't know whether we care or not. He still did sacrifice himself, and up until that point, he'd just been such a selfish dick. So I was surprised by that ending. Like, when he got up to go do it, I'm like, oh shit, he's gonna. Once they figured out what the whole two become one thing was.
Yeah.
I know. I obviously he had to have some kind of not redemption type finish to his story, but like, he couldn't be a dick as he was for the other 38 minutes of the episode and then just die a dick, and you're like, okay, well, I'm glad he's dead. There was something, but at the same time, I was still kind of surprised that it was almost in an instant, because he was a dick right up until 3 seconds before that, and he's like, oh, okay, well, I'll go do this thing. Old Love's going to die anyway. And
also, how did he know how to do it?
Yeah, well,
Just held it in exactly the right place.
Yeah.
Which I get the caretaker when he died was like, oh, let me touch the machine.
What I found was interesting is all those flashbacks to actually seeing the original mission and the death of the caretaker stuff. That actually wasn't originally in the script. This episode came up short, and they're like, "Oh, we need another minute worth of like visuals." So,
Filler.
let's
the flashback.
yeah. So
Right.
let's hire a dude to be the caretaker, and we'll film some flashbacks. And it's
Wow.
like this episode would have been even worse without those flashbacks, like to actually
Yeah,
explain it
I
all.
like the
Yeah.
idea of the caretaker where it's just like this guy that just lives next to the machine just in case someone comes, and then he can sacrifice himself to save everyone, and then they choose a new caretaker that heads out there and lives in the bush. Like, I thought that was pretty cool.
I think they just. Well, yeah, that's what I found a bit weird about it. Because for me, if you grab the Sentinel and you're the caretaker, then you become the machine or disappear. So then, why was that guy alive?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was.
And it's like,
Like,
Because-
why was he walking around?
Yeah, because he's the new caretaker.
yeah.
That's what I assumed. When
To-
the last time an enemy came, then there was a different caretaker. He went to the machine, got rid of all the enemies, and then the fire went out in old mate's office, and he's like, "Oh shit, the caretaker's dead. We need to choose a new caretaker."
Ah.
And
Really?
then they send another one
Yeah,
up.
or
It's
he
just
had,
like
or
a
he had like a
sacrif-
little apprentice. He had like a little apprentice, like, you will be the next caretaker.
Yeah. Or just like you want to sacrifice yourself to save your people, and then you get to become one with the machine. That's why when there was a
So you
bullet hole in him,
reckon?
he's like, just please let me touch the machine before I die.
Right.
Because I don't know, there must have been like this.
Well, it makes sense that it's an afterthought, really, that scene.
Yeah.
Because that's the only bit that didn't really make sense
Well,
to me.
I
It's
feel
like,
like-
well, so when he touches it and destroys all the Jafar, obviously not Teal'c because he's good.
Yeah, how does the machine know?
Because the power of thought.
Yeah. But why? Yeah. So do you reckon he died then? And then they need a new caretaker.
Yeah, I
Every
think-
time the Goa'uld comes, they die.
Yeah, and people volunteer to go and sacrifice themselves.
I don't think they
for the
really
greater good.
mentioned that though.
Which,
I don't think that was a
I think
thing.
it's
No,
implied.
I think it's implied, yeah.
implied.
Really?
But here's
Yeah,
the thing, though, is you said, Brendan, it kind of seemed like an afterthought. It's like, I feel like the whole technology seemed like an afterthought, given that, like, Cimmeria just have Thor's hammer. And it's just like, we don't need to sacrifice anybody for that. We're all safe.
Yeah.
Whereas whoever set this piece of tech up for them, and correct me if I'm wrong, to anyone who's, like, knows the show really, really well, like, those crystal...
That's you.
Those,
Are you going to correct yourself?
those crystals.
Basically, you're talking to Brendan in the room. Like, it's you two.
And anyone listening,
I'll tell you.
I hate saying "in listeners," but it's just like, just to anyone listening as well. Those crystals looked ancient. They look like ancient crystals that we see in later seasons.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's like, is this ancient technology? And if it is, what a bunch of jerks! And it's like, oh, we've got this tech that's going to save your planet. You've just got to sacrifice one person every time it comes. It's like,
Yeah.
you buddy, the Cimmerians don't have to do that.
I never.
And-
I don't think that was implied. I've never even thought about that.
Well, if you go and have a look at the tech, it's literally like that D-shaped.
Oh no, I'm not
Crystal
saying the
perspex.
Atlantis stuff. I'm saying I don't think the caretaker dies every time they need to use the weapon.
That's what I got out of it.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
Otherwise,
Only when
why
he
else
disappeared.
he disappeared?
When he disappeared at the end, I was like, oh, okay, so literally man and machine become one.
Yeah.
So he joins the machine, but then how do they work it after that? They need another one to
Yeah.
go out.
So
That's
you
why
reckon-
that's why they've got the flame in his
reason,
office.
Yeah, and the only reason that stayed lit is because our guys fucked with it and made it stay lit. Otherwise, when they killed the caretaker in the flashbacks, the candle would have gone out, and they would have chosen a new caretaker.
Yeah, well, that makes sense, but at the same time, I never got that. There's no line in there that would suggest that to me.
No. You sort of got to read between that's I just put two and two together. There's really no other.
Because why would
Got a 74, but there's no real other way.
what?
that could-
why
that
else
could,
would?
Well, the way I
guys
thought
play it.
is like you are the caretaker, so you're the custodian of it until you naturally die of old age or whatever, and then the flame goes out and it's the new dude.
But then why did our guy disappear
Yeah,
when he held
again,
onto it?
I always thought like he's going into it like the Matrix almost. Like he's entering the machine.
He's
Maybe it's
in
both,
the
though.
computer.
Yeah, right.
Because old mate said that the old dude said he's only seen it happen once when he was a kid, but that caretaker was much younger than him. So
Yeah.
maybe the caretaker maybe they've changed caretakers since he was a kid. Well, obviously because the machine
I was surprised when he came out and he was so young because you hear the word caretaker, I expect an old man.
Yeah.
Oh, especially
Yeah.
when he said a hermit that lives out there. I'm like, it's Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Obviously.
Yeah, I would have liked it if maybe they'd written it that our guy whose name I didn't bother to learn, the guy that sacrificed,
Greaves.
like, yeah, that guy. If like he had become the tech, and it's like he was absorbed into the machine,
Yeah.
and
That's
then
what I thought it was.
Yeah,
he had
that's right.
remained our caretaker until he died. But it's like, well, if he's got no body, how is he going to die? It's like, what? They absorb his body into the machine, but then his body still somehow manages to age normally like it would be outside. And then when the machine's used him up, it spits him out as a dead husk and goes like, give me another. It's like,
Yeah.
that's not a good piece of technology to save a planet. That's the blob. Like, that's just eating people.
Yeah, well, that's the way I felt it was. But then it was confusing because the young guy comes out and goes, I'm the caretaker. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Nah, not about it.
Yeah, well, I took it as a sacrificial type thing, but I was wondering, okay, so whoever has to come and be the new one, is it like almost like a punishment type thing, or is it a great honor? Like,
Yeah, it's
you're
good.
like, yes, I get to kill myself if we get
Yeah.
attacked. Like,
Well, that's what I thought, because as I said, when the caretaker got shot and he's laying on the ground, he's like, please just let me touch the machine, because he wanted the honor of merging
See,
with the
for me,
machine.
it was like he wants to go back into it so he doesn't die.
Oh no, I
Right.
saw it as a final act. It's like he
Yeah.
knows he's
Yeah,
dying. He just wants to touch it to save his people.
Yeah.
It's
funny.
really, if you take the actual Sentinel out of it, which we never really see the Sentinel doing, it just sends out that wave and everyone disappears. But it's like
But not Teal'c.
it's it's the equivalent of the Goa'uld showing up and saying, "Sacrifice a virgin on that altar, and we won't kill you."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Okay."
yeah.
And that's it. They just sacrifice someone, and it's like, oh, okay, then the Goa'uld will go away.
that-
But it's like the
That's
Goa'uld
like
always going to come back.
because I didn't. That's why I never thought about that. Because Marul's like, well, we wouldn't bow down to you. We wouldn't do that. Like that's not our way. So, it's against our law.
It just
Yeah, but because they've got the Sentinel, they never
okay.
needed to.
Fair enough.
But I mean, if they don't have to sacrifice, like if they don't have the Sentinel and they don't sacrifice that one person, then the alternative is go to war and kill 50% of your population. So, I mean, really, you're just killing one person to save the rest, rather than go to war and kill most of them.
They should have just given the Sentinel to Grogan. There you go. You're dead.
In
yeah,
Grogan.
the irony that he's the one person that survived this time.
Yeah. Well, just like Elliot last time.
Yeah.
Like out of that original, trainee group,
Yeah.
they're the last to survive, and they were supposed to be the best of the best. Maybe they're so shit that they killed the rest of their team.
Well, apparently, if you go back and watch, which I'll never go back and watch this episode ever again if I can help it. Every time you see Grogan, he's injured again, like carrying over from Proving Ground.
Right.
It's like every time we see him, he's been injured somehow. So he's still
Yeah,
still the dummy.
I didn't mind him
When-
in this episode, actually.
No, he was good. He was actually
Yeah.
really good in this episode.
When we first saw him, what the hell was his problem? He was just asleep. O'Neill stole his gun. He's like,
Yeah,
I must have passed out. And then he stands there like squinting and squeezing his eyes closed,
And
like
it's-
something's wrong. Like,
it's-
dude, you were just
Just woke
sleeping.
up,
like,
mate.
Apparently,
calm
it was-
down. Like, don't
apparent-
pretend something happened. You fell asleep on watch, you piece
Maybe,
of shit.
maybe
No,
he was doing a
apparently it
Grogan in
was,
his pants.
According to the commentary, and we have to get to that. Apparently, it was combat fatigue. It was their way of showing he's been up for 3 days straight trying to whatever. It's combat fatigue, and he's just passed out.
I'd hope so
Right.
because he
But
didn't
they
exactly
didn't-
hide.
they didn't
when
hit
Yeah,
he
it
it
was
very
just
well.
right next
Right
to the
next to the
road.
path.
They
Like,
must have
walked
walked
right
past me.
But
Of course
Great-
they did.
Great trackers, though. Like,
You're
next
not
scene,
even
they
wearing-
tracked them directly to the Sentinel.
not even wearing
come on.
camo.
They walked straight past me. I couldn't track him around the corner.
now, as much as
He's already dead.
Yeah.
much
Move on.
as I cannot watch this episode, there is one bright, shining hope of wonderfulness. That is the audio commentary, and I'm devastated because, as you guys know, my computer shit itself last night, so I don't have any audio commentary for this, like any audio grabs. It's Peter DeLuise and Walter. It's Walter doing his first commentary, and holy fuck, it is hilarious. I know I recommend audio commentary all the time, but this I cannot recommend enough.
Nice.
It is fucking, like the bit I had. Like you should just hear just a bit for the cold open, and I'm in hysterics already because they're already talking about shit. Like they're talking about taking dumps and and getting erections and all the classic.
What are they? Us?
Yeah, right. Just all that classic humor.
Classic humor.
There's a
All
later
the gold.
there's a later part, and I'll never be able to recreate it. But there's a later part where Peter Dilley's is talking, and he references something about there, but for the grace of God. And then Walter's like, "Oh, that's the time I got to wear my combat cardigan and fire a gun." And Peter Dilley's like, "You went home and made love to your wife like you never have that night before, have you?" And he's like, "Yeah, maybe." He's like, "Wait, is that the night you fathered your child?" And he's like, "Well, I'm not too sure." He's like, "Because firing a gun, there's nothing puts lead in your pencil like firing a gun." And they just go off on this random tangent about it all.
Classic.
And then Peter Dilley's like, because you tell me, like, if that was the night you impregnated your wife, and it's like, and he's, "Oh yeah, I'd totally call you." Like, they're just back and forward the whole thing. Just
Oh, that's exactly like listening to it. It's like I was there.
I wonder whether we should change our season wrap up. Like the names, we've got our best 7, our middle 7, and the just listen to the commentary track. Because it's like this will, I guess, rank in your bottom 7, if not in the bottom 3, and you can be like,
Should
"But
rename the bottom 7 the Cooper list.
the Cooper files."
The good, the all right, and the
Yeah.
Cooper.
The Brad, the Wright, and the Cooper.
oh, well done.
Launching fucking missiles through the gate.
Oh, so sick.
Oh my god!
First the UAV, I'm like,
Speaking
oh
about-
yeah, that's sick. And then
Speaking
missiles.
about putting lead in your pencil,
Why don't they do this more often?
And see,
oh
but-
man,
Or ever again?
We never see it again.
See, I was starting to worry because when Hammond's like, "Close the blast doors," and I'm like, "What?" Because I was thought they were going to send out like something to blow up on the other side of the gate. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, wasn't paying attention the last 10 seconds. I'm like, "Nothing comes back in, mate. You don't need to worry about it. What
Yeah.
are you? Nothing's
Yeah,
coming back
so
in to hurt you."
true.
And I'm like, "Oh, hang on, no. They're firing fucking missiles that's going to light up that whole embarkation."
Did you
room.
notice they shut the blast door, like the side door, and the people were trying to get out? That doctor only had like a few
Yeah.
inches to kind of slip
really?
through.
I saw that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, how many takes would that have taken?
Yeah,
Because
right.
they were
Run, run.
pretty uniform in getting out
Yeah.
that door. Like,
Yeah.
is that actual mechanic or is someone on the other side pushing it closed?
Such a cool effect, though, wasn't it? Like, you just
Wouldn't
sort
be
of see it fire through, and it like a foot after it emerges on the other side of the
Yeah.
gate, straight up into the
Straight
sky.
up.
It's like, yeah, it's locked onto them.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So
And
good.
Carter's like, we got lucky the UAV didn't get shot down. I'm like, are you joking? It's Jafar.
Yeah, right.
Like, they
Mate,
can
they-
only shoot Tok'ra.
They're your universe's stormtroopers, okay?
Yeah.
They're not that good.
Yeah, Toker, if they jump in the way of the bloody...
Yeah, but that was sick. And then the UAV paints the target and boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks at that little dot on the... He's like, what the
As if you'd
hell?
see that.
Yeah, right.
Why would he turn around and look at it?
We see that. I think we see
Made
that
no
part
sense.
of it, like maybe twice more. I know there's an episode where Carter paints a target with a little laser
Yeah,
dot,
that was cool.
and there's another one where Teal'c or another Jafari nose does it, but we never actually get to see the missiles being launched
Yeah,
like that again. I don't think.
costs too much.
No, I can't recall ever seeing that again.
Yeah, because if you think about it, that would solve a lot of our problems.
Yeah, bro.
If we could just
Aye.
open up a Stargate, fire a couple of missiles through, and just take out everything. Like, imagine if we had that back in Upgrades.
Yeah, right. You
When
just
they had
shoot
needed
it.
super speed to take care of everybody.
Oh,
It's like
totally.
they would have just used
Just
that.
shoot a missile at
Super speed.
Yeah.
They could have actually just opened up the wormhole, fired a missile through it, and laser targeted like Apophis's like mothership that was
yeah.
hovering there, like one of those
Yeah.
hover things. Just blown that up. Okay, we're done. We didn't even need to go through.
Easy.
We're done.
But then how would Jack and Sam know they love each other? So,
yeah. Zaytark.
so how many System Lords are there?
Well, that's what I was wondering. This was this guy the
One
dude
less
that
now.
the dude that crossed his arm in
Yeah,
and
he's the
kinda
guy
nodded
that
his
had like
head.
that the blue lines under his face.
yeah
Yeah, that's
So he was at the
Svarog.
meeting.
yeah
Yeah, that's that guy.
Wasn't there?
Apparently.
Isn't there 7 System Lords?
6 now.
8
Because I
With
don't think
Anubis?
he was there. Not when they were in, not when bloody Lord Yu was introducing them all to Daniel.
well
No, I think he came in later and like bumped someone. He's the one.
he was the one that voted yes to Anubis just before you said no.
Yeah, he didn't have any lines. He's
No.
one of the.
He's a
one of the
white
couple
dude
that
with
did
blue
the-
makeup, crossed his arms,
yeah.
and I'm like,
I
oh,
see.
he's given a no, and then he nods. It's like your body language is showing opposite.
Yeah.
What are you doing,
Right. Okay.
Svarog?
Yeah, I remember seeing him. Sprog.
You're not
what is
sticking
his name?
around.
He might be.
Yeah.
He might be
yeah,
a shit
Braveheart
system
would
lord,
be.
guys, but he has the best Dolby 5.1 surround sound in the universe.
Oh,
Doesn't
mate.
he what?
And you know what? It's the Bluetooth goes ages because he was at home when he said that shit.
Yeah.
But you know what the funny thing is? The mothership's in orbit, but the speakers go through the vacuum of space, which doesn't...
Mate, Goa'uld technology.
Technology.
Yeah, well, that's
just,
it.
It's very advanced.
Yeah, sound can't travel in a vacuum, but...
Yeah. He just ringed down some boom boxes.
Well, that's it, yeah.
Just-
The
and just
Jafar...
spoke
Must be
through.
like the Jafar
I mean-
AV team set up speakers throughout the whole city.
If you think about it, it makes sense he's got a good sound system because his first prime, or his Jafar that he sent down,
Oh, yeah.
was Eminem.
Eminem.
That was the Eminem Jafar.
All right.
Shady's
So,
back.
it makes sense he's got a good sound system.
Wasn't it so funny he was trying so hard to be like Teal'c? It was just like tall
Who?
and tough.
Eminem.
Eminem.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
he didn't even have a gold tattoo,
No,
mate.
you're
can't
not
be
in
tough if you
first
don't have a
prime.
gold-
Go away.
Yeah. What are you doing?
No bling.
What are you, a trainee? Get out of here.
Yeah.
You will bow down to him when he starts raining fire. No, I won't.
No.
No, because they'll be
I haven't
dead.
been trained for this.
Yeah.
What do I do now?
That normally works.
Beautifully naive that guy was. Like he couldn't even be intimidated. Like
No, we won't.
You'll die. Our machine should start working any minute, and you'll be dead.
Yeah, he was annoyingly naive. that
Yeah.
guy.
and then the flip side is Eminem killed him, so he never bowed anyway because he's like, well, I'm dead, so
Yeah.
it's fine.
I like the way that
Did he kill
Grogan.
Yeah, off screen. They weren't allowed to show it because Henry Gibson is such a cute little old man. They're like, no, you can't show him being killed.
It's like,
They-
Right.
shooting a puppy. It's like, oh, it was a
Yeah.
good idea, but when you watch it, oh, that's not right.
But shouldn't they just do the like close up of the staff and then
Yeah.
see the blast come out and then you know he's dead?
I think Peter DeLuise shot it, but then the editors and the higher ups were like, no,
no,
and
you
they just
can't
took
show
it
him with
out.
half a face,
they
guys.
took it out.
Cut that out and film some flashbacks.
Yeah.
I like the way that Grogan described the civilization as like obviously we're saying they're beautiful and innocent, naive and all that, but that they've like regressed to a point where like they don't even understand their own technology anymore.
Yeah.
Like they've forgotten how it was ever created
Yeah.
and who invented it or whatever or how or why. But as long as it works, we don't ask any questions. And I'm like, that's such an interesting place to be in as a civilization. Like I've often thought, you watch these post-apocalyptic movies or the idea that there's a grave threat. I'm like, what if we did lose technology now? Like how many people in the world are there that are smart enough that understand everything enough that we would be able to recreate exactly everything that we have right now?
No.
If some asteroid comes down, Postman, the Kevin Costner classic, technology gets destroyed and you're like-
Emails lost, so you need a postman again.
I actually found that in my DVD collection the other day. I'm like, how long about this? And it's
love
set
that
in
movie.
Next to Waterworld.
It's set in 2013, and it's like technology has been erased. And I'm like, oh, that's so
That's
cute.
sick.
It was in Blade Runner set in 2019 now, so we're in the Blade
Yeah.
Runner year. But
Wow.
where would we be if we didn't have the people like that properly under like? Would it affect us? These guys, like, nothing's happened to them, but they've just lost all
Yeah.
records.
The way I
we
feel-
had it, mate. It was the Dark Ages. They said if the Dark Ages never happened, we'd be fucking living
Yeah.
on the moon by now.
Yeah. years ahead.
Yeah,
Because of
and
all the shit we lost back then.
it's okay. Religion survived, so we're fine.
Hooray!
Sure did.
But I feel like we, like us as the consumers, we are regressed anyway. We don't think about trying new initiatives and new inventions for the layman.
Can someone else do it?
Yeah, right. It's a bit like that. It's like a new update of iOS. Fuck that. I know my technology. I don't need your update.
Look, I want you to update the technology, but I don't want to pay $1,000 for a new
Yeah.
phone.
What the hell?
My computer that just died was still running Windows Vista. So,
Wow.
yeah, no.
Vista, of all things.
Apparently.
Was it on dial-up as well?
No, I have got a little portable USB. That just
Oh, the
sticks in front of
dongle.
it,
The next one
dongle.
up.
Yeah.
Dongle.
Dial
Shove
up.
your dongle in the USB port.
Yeah.
Something very interesting that we found out. NID, those guys from NID were on death row.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like that line. I assume they're getting time taken off. Actually, they're going to get a little bit more out of this.
Yeah.
They're on death row.
That's
Like,
hectic.
Oh shit!
They were following orders, Bart, from the government. And the government's like, oh, you got
No.
caught, let's kill you.
No, these were the rogue NID.
Yeah.
So they did work for the NID.
Rogue.
And then using that information, they all kind of
Yeah.
just pieced out.
And Mayborn's like, here's an
And-
envelope. You want to jump in on this action?
Yeah. So that whole thing that
Yeah, right.
Mayborn was running wasn't actually sanctioned by the government. He just took people who knew about the Stargate program and went, we're going to run our own shit. It's really, that's where it gets really murky when you got to know the difference between like NID and like, oh, these are rogue NID.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, because NID itself isn't actually a bad organization.
Yeah,
It's just their hiring process is terrible. Like, their HR needs to be shot. Like, their HR...
Same as the Stargate
Their
program.
HR should be
Yeah.
on death row. That's the ones that really should be on death row.
I found it weird that they kept calling Greaves Colonel, even though he's...
Yeah, he would have been stripped of rank.
Yeah,
Totally.
surely.
And
Yeah,
Kershaw,
true.
she was still a lieutenant or whatever.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Kershaw was Takaya from the Vagina-Faced Aliens in Spirits.
Ah,
Yeah.
knew
She was
it-
on with
she
the-
looked familiar.
Yeah, I knew she was annoying.
I tell you what, she still had a bit of sass about it. Like, as we go to find out, if they're successful, they're going to be taken off death row. So she should be doing everything she can to butter up to these people and get the job done. But before they embarked through the gate, and they're like splitting up the teams. And she's like, "Oh, I'm so glad that I've got an archaeologist to back me up." And then he's like, "Yeah, which end do the bullets go in again?" And he holds up a knife. And it was just like, "Yes, Daniel, you
Brilliant.
smart ass son of a bitch. Stick it to her, bitch." Like, honestly, you were about to be killed,
Yeah.
and they've given you a lead. You're like, "Oh, no, this guy doesn't look tough." I'm like, "F you."
Yeah.
And Daniel Still's like, "Man,
Daniel Jackson.
Yeah.
I am on her side, though.
No, he's like, he was
From
one
day
step
one.
away. He was one step away from going, "F you, I'm Indiana Jones, bitch."
Yeah.
Like, he's like, "Give me a fedora and a whip, and you will be fucking gushing." Like,
God, this is a good episode. Did you see the stock footage from, I think Teal'c looks up and there's supposed to be a glider overhead, and there's the stock footage from Children of the Gods
oh, is there?
with the glider, in like Children of the Gods, it goes overhead and comes
Yeah.
back and
Well,
spins around.
it makes
They cut
sense.
it before it spun back.
It makes sense. They were shooting the exact same spot. At one point, if you see when they're traveling, they're looking up a hill, and you see them sort of walking across the top of the hill,
Yeah.
and that's the hill where like Carter laid the claymores in Children of the Gods.
oh really?"
Right.
Yeah, but how's this for interesting? So this is one of the reasons why I love Peter DeLuise so much. Is so they were scouting like the set for the Sentinel, like the inside with the chimes and the lights and that sort of spiky
The big
interior.
pile of trees.
Yeah, that had been designed and sorted out. They didn't know what the exterior would look like. Peter DeLuise goes and does their location shoot, like scout, and he finds this big f***ing pile of broken down trees, and he's like, "Well, that's the entrance to the Sentinel," and it f***ing matches perfectly. Like you'd assume that those two things, they're like, "Oh, we'll use this as our outside set, so we'll build the inside set to look like twigs and leaves."
Oh, really?
Nah.
So they built the internal...
They'd already built the Sentinel set and filmed all the internal stuff before they
Wow.
went on location to film all the stuff at the GVRD. And I assume they were just going to like, oh, it'll have a cave entrance or it'll be whatever. And it's like, nah. So where like Carter and Teal'c were kind of barricaded up at the entrance, that was just a little nook. Like people had to just walk there and stop.
Yeah.
Like it was just a big pile of
I
just...
imagine it was like a beaver pile or like just
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Yeah, well,
waste from...
Peter DeLuise called it the Beaver Dam. He's like...
yeah, that must
but
have
it
been
was
where I
just
got
this-
it from.
Yeah, he just called it just a big pile of fucking broken trees and twigs and shit like that. And I'm like, that's genius. Like, that's so good.
Cheap.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. And it's like, the same location they shoot in all the time. So it's like, well done. There was a funny part in the commentary where like Gary Jones is like making fun of the show, because there's at one point where Carter, when they're waiting for the Jafar to come, she puts up her binoculars and it like cuts to the shot of the Jafar kind of walking, and they stop and turn, and Walter starts laughing and goes, "It looks like that guy just went, 'Stop, she needs to see us.'" They've just kind of just stopped and looked so she could see them, and then they've started walking, and I'm just like, well done.
And I know there was a lot of Jafar coming at them, especially in the second wave they were worried about. But that first wave, I'm not that worried. 2 weeks ago, we seen the Warrior. Carter can hit a moving target
Right.
from like 100 meters away with one bullet if she
Single
wants
shot
to.
mode.
Like, she can shoot a moving piece of rope. Like, honestly, a Jafar with like penetrable armor, I'm not that worried about her
She
going
was,
up
and,
against.
and then she wasn't even using the scope. It's like there's
No.
a scope on the top of the P90. She could literally just stand there and take headshots at every single one
Yeah.
of them and just sniper them.
Mm.
And in the little cave, when that Jafar comes around the corner and she just shoots the wall, and he goes, "Oh," and jumps back behind the cover. Like, I'm pretty sure you're a better shot than that, Carter. You were sitting there ready for him to come in.
Yet Teal'c was just smashing like targets on their chest.
Yeah.
He was just getting them every time, bullseye. It's like, take that, Ragnar, whatever your name is.
Ragnar, they're the
Ragnar
best
Lothbrok.
shot.
Yeah. So much for the staff weapons not being accurate.
Yeah.
Teal'c's like, yeah, what up?
What is up?
What is up?
And I know he's running away
folks.
from staff blasts that are going to be, put in post. But still, when they said, hold them off as long as you can, then come inside. And then he's updating them, and they're
He
like, all right,
waited
come
as
inside.
long as he could.
And then he gets up and he runs away very slowly. And then, and then he stops and has a look around.
Yeah.
They're still firing him. Like, dude, I know that you know they're bad shots, but at the same time, it's you versus like 50 of them. Like, come on, jump.
get inside.
The door's right there, mate. Like,
You know where they are.
You know they're there. That's why you're running away.
Peter DeLuise was saying this was still when Chris Judge was still smoking. It's like, so he would never run, like, on camera. So apparently during that scene, it's like he would run up to camera, do the scene, and then as soon as he would call cut, that's when Chris Judge would go...
I know we brought
Because
it
he
up.
was just, like, holding it the whole time.
But again, 2 weeks ago on The Warrior, that looked like him busting out of the gate at the end to go, Deceiver! That looked like him. Was that just a spot-on
That was
body
him.
double? That was him, because I didn't
That
say
was
we saw
him.
enough of his face.
But it's
because he
like,
was Tom Cruise running
we
there.
didn't see the back end of that.
It's great.
We didn't see the back end of that where Teal'c was like had
Yeah.
to stop and was like, just bent over, like folded in half, just just doing the smoker's cough.
We're only going to get one shot at this.
Yeah. Whereas he's got to, in this, he's got to be like, oh yeah, I can totally just run for like 20 Ks. And
Yeah.
Not even, don't even need to breathe deep. Apparently, online or at conventions and stuff like that, apparently the two, what was it, Kershaw and that other dude?
Greaves.
Greaves.
Apparently they tell the story that their episode was filmed on 9/11. The way they remember it. But I'm like, that's weird because last week's episode was according to Martin Wood. So I don't know whether they've misremembered or the shows were overlapped. Like, because this is Peter directing this one and a different writer and stuff. So I don't know if maybe they were filming second unit while Martin had the A shows. I don't know. Or maybe it was...
Maybe they were at a script read.
Yeah, that could have been it.
Because when they did the flashbacks, he was clean shaven, this guy, so you'd presume that they would have done that after.
Yeah.
Well, and the flashbacks were filmed after because remember because they were
Catch
added
up.
last minute.
Yeah,
because the show was short.
So yeah, that couldn't even explain that.
So- But then again, how did that all go down? Not to bring it down, talk more 9/11 talk, but it was like, wasn't it 3 or 4 days after 9/11 was when like the Pentagon was hit as well? So it was
No, it was the same
It
day.
was all the same day.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
It was a very advanced attack.
So apparently, Walter types on plywood when he's at the controls and we're looking at him
Really?
like through the glass, and he's doing his reaching, his pulling, all that kind of stuff, and typing. He's typing on plywood, so it doesn't make any sound to affect everyone reading their lines.
Yeah, right.
Poor bastard.
Plywood
that's
still would make noise to me.
well, they just take his keyboard away, and that's what he's typing on. He's
Just
just
give him a pillow.
Yeah,
I wonder
right?
if he draws the keys on the
foam.
plywood.
I would.
A,
That'd be
S,
great.
He
D,
would, mate.
F.
Totally would.
He's in the moment.
Well, don't forget, and they've got that keyboard as well,
Oh,
where
yeah.
they've whited out all the ASDF and they've put all the chevrons on there. All the,
I wonder
all
if
the
he's
glyphs.
drawn ASDF and then gone back with whiteout and whited
Yeah,
out
just to be
the
completely
drawing.
accurate.
I'm a method actor.
Yeah.
Poor Teal'c not understanding sarcasm.
Still.
I can't remember the line Daniel said, but that's a note that I have here. So just thought I'd say that.
He's like, what? And we don't think that the NI. And surely the NID couldn't tell lies.
That's it.
I believe they could, Daniel Jackson.
Of course. What was I thinking?
Mate, you've been on Earth for 5 years. Fucking catch up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, even
really?
Braytech knows.
I mean, he's not allowed off base. What else is he doing except sitting in his room, Kelno rooming and watching TV? It's like, mate, you should be over this by now.
It's like last week with bloody Rhys. She goes, "Can I go and see you, World?" And Daniel's like, "Yeah, I'll take you." And I'm like, poor Teal'c. Like,
Yeah.
does he know about this?
What if his way of actually catching up on the way that people interact with each other and understanding sarcasm and all that was learning through television, but the only TV show that he watched was like Seinfeld, and like that was how he communicated. He says nothing, and there's like, "Oh, really, Daniel? Like, what's the deal with the Goa'uld?" It's like, Teal'c, this is a briefing meeting. If you could just keep your nothingerisms to yourself, that'd be fantastic.
What's the go with the rations in this?
He's in the briefing eating a Mars bar with a knife and fork. Like, where'd you learn that? The television Daniel Jackson.
He learns the ancient human dance of the Elaine dance.
Yeah.
It's him just doing the old.
Whenever he walks into the cafeteria, he just slides in like Kramer. I'd love to see Teal'c do that.
He starts
O'Neill.
decorating his staff weapon for Christmas. Happy Festivus, O'Neill.
Hello, Walter.
I'd love to find out he's actually like a hardcore fan of something really trashy like Jersey Shore or something like that. He just loves him some Guidos. Like that'd be brilliant. Stargate comes back this year, and what it is, it's Teal'c watching that new Lindsay Lohan running her beach house in Greece
Oh my
in
God.
Mykonos reality show, and he's just all over it.
Only
Gogglebox
pick
with
the
Teal'c.
best.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I would watch the shit out of that.
I don't want to ruin it for you, Rhys, but there is an episode in
But I will.
No, just
Yeah, let me
because we're on
rephrase.
it.
I want to ruin this for you. I'll try not to.
But we're short of time, so
There
I'm going to feel.
There is an episode where it ends with Teal'c going to like a play, like he goes to like a
Cats.
theater, and he goes to the show, and it ends up being the vagina monologues.
All right.
So
Puppetry of the penis, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
What if he went to watch Romeo and Juliet? He would not understand a f***ing thing that's going on.
Yeah. Well, what year was this? 2002. So if he was going to the movies,
Oh, what movies are out in 202?
Oh, he'd still be. It's early 2002. This episode,
Yeah.
so
Mate.
he'd be going to watch Fellowship of the Ring that had just come out.
was it
Harry-
2002?
No,
I thought it
no,
was
but
3.
it came out in the Christmas 2001.
Oh yeah,
You know, had the first Harry Potter's probably still hanging around. You
Yeah.
know, so he's getting a lot of
He would've gone
fantasy.
on that. Yeah, he would have
Um,
definitely been into rings, big time.
Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Spider-Man. Oh, he loves Star Wars, and Attack of the Clones came out.
That's true.
You know,
Yep.
I've seen it 16 times.
the Santa Claus 2.
God, yeah.
Oh,
Watched that the other
absolutely.
day.
Oh, mate,
Still haven't seen 2 or 3.
completely on brand. 8 Mile.
Oh yeah.
You know, after seeing that Swarog Jafar dead, he just went and watched 8 Mile. Catch me if you
Palms
can.
are sweaty.
My
Palms are sweaty.
on
Your
you.
first prime is weak. His arm is heavy.
His arm is heavy.
Oh, see now, you know what movie he really went and saw? Van Wilder, Party Liaison.
Oh, God,
You
yeah.
totally see
And didn't
Teal'c
laugh
on that.
the entire time.
Nah.
Yeah.
But come out and it was
Pump
the best.
into porpoise.
Yeah.
Pumping the porpoise. Slap.
This man dishonors his father.
So every time after that, he's like, write that down, O'Neill.
It's the same thing you've said 20 times, Teal'c. I've written it down. Last week.
Written down indeed 13 times.
Rated a 40th time.
All right, so Teal'c goes to a cinema and they're only showing Chicago and Scooby Doo. Which one does he go and see?
Oh,
Chicago, big
the
time.
Windy City. Home of the
Big,
Cubs.
big
Oh,
Richard,
with the Cubs. What
big
is it?
Richard Gere fan, obviously.
I wonder if there's an Oprah.
I thought he'd want to see what a talking dog's all about. Solves crimes.
Oh, he's one for Brendan.
Puczynski.
He's one for Brendan. Austin Powers Gold member.
No, I'll pass on that.
He's the man for you.
Signs.
Yeah,
Oh,
he would have
good
gone to
flick.
see
Yeah.
Signs
Good
because the
flick.
alien invasion.
Die Another Day.
Yeah, he's a big Madonna fan.
Bend It Like Beckham.
No.
No,
No one
can
no
stand
one
that.
saw that.
No,
And-
he's not. Yeah, he's not seen a teenage soccer movie when he's in America.
America.
Teal'c totally went and saw The Hot Chick in 2002.
God,
Who
he
didn't?
would have.
He was the
Love
only
that.
one.
I saw it on DVD. That was fun.
That's fun. Yeah.
you. Oh,
Was that?
yeah.
White Chicks.
White chicks.
Hot Chick was Rob Schneider.
Oh, is it from that? Was it?
That's The Hot Chick.
That's the Hot Chick.
Oh, I thought
White
it was
Chicks
White
is
Chicks.
you-
Yeah.
Yeah, but we were talking
He's a
about Hot
big fella.
Chicks and then you did a White Chicks
Ah.
reference. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm tired.
I could catch the bus 1,000 miles.
I could just hold you tonight. Fucking love that.
I need you. And I miss you.
It's not bad to like that song if you really get into it.
Absolutely.
Tell me it's not your fucking guilty pleasure of a song. You can't do it.
All right, it's
Yeah,
time to
time to
find
find
out
out
if
if
Rhys
Rhys
has
been paying attention.
5 questions for you, Rhys.
Oh, here we go.
I haven't reread these, so God knows what happened. I wrote it very late last night. 30 seconds on the clock.
Earlier than you normally write them.
I haven't reread them because I just wrote them.
Yeah.
I've actually slept since I wrote
That's actually
these.
the most prep you've ever put into Has Rhys been paying attention, so I'm not sure why you're trying to downsell it.
Time starts after this.
All
In
right.
the Sentinel, who was the only survivor of SG-9?
Grogan.
Correct. What was the name of the invading system lord with the really big speakers?
Svarog.
Correct. What would normally happen when the caretaker would die?
The fire goes out.
Correct. Which episode did we previously see Colonel Greaves?
Shades of Grey.
Incorrect.
Red
What
Sky.
is incorrect? What is the binary
One of
code
those.
for the Latonan homeworld?
P2A018.
Correct.
I've been a fan of Stargate for like 20 years. I could not tell you one planetary code. I just gloss straight over those things.
Yeah.
I never bother.
I just know Rhys has to write it down, so that's what makes me.
No, I
get
can memorise them all. Ask
I'm
me
just
any
saying,
planet, I'll tell you the
Every
binary
time
code.
you hear them say it, you write it down now, right?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Could be a question any week.
That's why.
That's why I'm glad whenever they ask O'Neill, like Hammond will say, "Oh, that was on P3X4209," that O'Neill doesn't go, "Oh, with these people or this particular mission." Like he has no recollection
Yeah.
for the codes. Like like Shanksy can pull them out. Daniel Jackson says them all over. And you're like, really, of course you would remember them, but at least they don't pretend like O'Neill would.
I think I
'Cause
always
he
glossed
absolutely
over them
wouldn't.
because, coming from Star Trek, where it's like, Stardate 52947,
Ew,
it's like
that's
no one's ever going to remember that.
No.
And I went to a convention in New York and was like in one of the trivia competitions. And the one rule they have is it's like you can't ask a question that has a number for an answer. That was the one rule that they had
Wow.
because like people in the audience could like throw up questions.
Right.
And they couldn't be like, oh, how many people were in the background of this shot or whatever. It's like you can't have an answer that has a number in it. I was like, oh, fucking hell, all right.
Oh, put half my questions away. So, question 4: which episode did we previously see Colonel Greaves? Trick question. Never seen him before.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Remember early in the episode when we talked about how
Remember how Maddie specifically said
we had a
that-
conversation about how they put a shot of them into the previously on when they were never in
No.
that episode?
Remember-
Remember a
paying
few months ago when I said I never listened to you when you do it?
Rhys, your father made you wrong!
You stupid son of a bitch.
In fairness, though, you did so much better than I thought you would, be considering Brendan wrote these last night, because usually he writes them during the episode based off things we've already talked
Much
about.
easier.
So the fact that he wrote them last night, they could have been about anything.
Yeah.
So
They
congratulations
They
to
could
you.
have been about anything.
All right, that's episode 109 of Get Into Gate, talking the Sentinel. And look, we'll put that aside, never think about it again until maybe we do our bottom 7 in a couple of weeks of season 5. Next week, though, the big one, possibly, well, we won't go into it too much because Rhys hasn't watched it yet, but Meridian. We'll just say that it's the penultimate episode of the season, so of course
Yeah,
it's going
I'm
to
not
be
prepared.
big.
Say
You're not
that.
prepared.
I'm not emotionally
It's a big
prepared.
couple episodes
Well,
coming
we
up.
got a week, mate.
No
so
surprise.
prepare yourself.
We're
You
coming
guys have
towards
talked
it.
about this a couple of times.
No, we haven't.
Well, you've
Never.
I know the title of it, so
Yeah, it's a big one in the fandom. For sure.
About an alien called Meridian, so look forward to that. That'll be episode 110 of Get Into Gate. In the meantime, until then, you can check out all of our old podcasts. Look, just hit up Google, Get Into Gate, a Stargate podcast. We're on YouTube, we're on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, anywhere you want to find us pretty much and listen to us or watch
Follow
us, you
and
can.
subscribe, please.
Yeah, all the socials as well, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Hey, what was the name of this episode?
It's the Sentinel.
Anyway, we got a Patreon page. Patreon.com/Get Into Gate.
Myself, Mitch_Lewis on Twitter and Instagram. Let's talk some gates. Maddie,
At High Pitch Maddie.
Brendan,
At the Bren Gibson.
and Rhys.
I'm at the Flying Gibson.
Brace yourself, boys. We're talking about Meridian next week on Get Into Gate.
Get Into Geek.